Dave Thomas and Sam Gallagher. Dave in the lead. Sam sitting right on his wheel, hiding in his blind spot. Sam rode a very good ride earlier, keeping it short and sharp. David tends to like a long race, and sure enough, the same place he made his move last time, he makes the move this time. Sam very alert and attentive, and he's straight onto the wheel, riding that virtual tandem. Sitting comfortably in David's slipstream. You can see the difference in cadences between the two riders. Sam on a very small gear, again restricted gearing as a junior. David hasn't yet hit the gas at full speed, but certainly keeping the pace at a speed that he'd like. We're guessing a little bit as to where Sam is. David starts to kick down the back straight with half a lap to go. Sam trying to make a move around the outside. Sam with a little bit more speed as he comes around the outside of David. But David lifting through turn 3 and turn 4. It's going to be pretty close, this one. Two riders neck and neck as they come out of the bend. It's going to be very, very close to the line. Oh, I think David by just a smidge.
You know he was joking.
So underway now. It's Michelle Skur and Beck Sutherland. These two riders, Michelle Skur 15.228 and Beck 15.8. So Michelle's qualifying time a little faster than Beck.
Yeah, going right.
Beck at the moment with the lead. Watching Michelle closely. Just as they come around out of turn 1 and into turn 2, the pace down quite low. Again, it has to be walking pace. We don't permit the lead rider to force the following rider into the lead for the first half, but the following rider can take the lead at any point. The only significant variation we have on the rules here is no track stands. It can mean a race can take a little bit too long, although the modern sprint only allows a 30-second track stand anyway. But add all them up together, if everyone does it, we end up with a day that stretches into tomorrow. And as you can see, we have no roof and no lights. The breeze been quite kind to us at the moment, just a little bit of a northerly. It's quite nice as Beck starts to just raise the pace a little bit, but keeping a good job of owning the lane as now they make the move into the sprinters lane with a lap out. Beck leading it from Michelle. Michelle camped on the wheel of Beck Sutherland. Beck charging hard now, comes around and 200 metres to go as Michelle tries to make a move around the outside, but Beck charging hard. She's got herself into a nice little tuck there, trying to make herself as aerodynamic as possible, and Michelle now starts to make a move around the outside of Beck. It's pretty close, a little bit of a hook there through the bend, which may have made a difference to the race, but in the end it didn't, and Michelle takes that and will lead out the sprint. Again, Chanel can take the lead off her if she wants. Now remember guys, the race isn't live until you've crossed the start line. The race is not live until you cross the start line, girls. And you must ride no slower than walking pace.
By the whistle.
Or at least the lead rider is allowed to ride no slower than walking pace. The following rider can slow down a little bit more if they need to, but that's a little bit dangerous because if they stop, the lead rider can just bolt. And all of a sudden there's a 30-metre gap and that can be too much, especially these two who qualified so closely together. Less than a tenth of a second between them in qualifying. Aaron leading it out. Aaron in the all-black skin suit. Chanel in the Carnegie Caulfield, blue, black and white. Coming around now out of turn 2. As you come out of the bends, the high rider has an advantage of the run off the bank. And Chanel opts to take that advantage, and she's jumped clear of Erin. Erin now with a bit of work to do to chase her down and get into the slipstream. It's going to be a long sprint. It's, that's about 550 metres out, or 500 metres at least. And Erin has the draft of Chanel as she comes around now into turn 1. Now, does she know how to pass is the next question. Chanel giving it her all down the back straight. Erin trying to find an opportunity to get around her, but Chanel at the moment holding the pace. She's let it out, it's a good move. Erin tries to make a move around the outside, but as she does, it looks as though Chanel's lifted a little bit more coming out of turn 4. A little bit of wobble out of the lane. A very hard charge to the line, but on the track at least, Chanel takes that one from Erin. How will this one pan out? How will the two riders ride it? Across the start line, the race is live. Again, we have a gentleman's agreement that the race isn't actually live and no one does anything significant tactically until after the start line. It's a hassle having holders, and it effectively works the same way. It just means that our race has got a little bit quicker. David holding Emily high up on the hip as they come out of turn 2. The pace a little bit higher, you can see, than the previous race. Both riders looking to be on fairly similar gears. David again holding Emily high up on the hip round the bend. Pace starting to pick up. Emily forcing the pace around the outside. Looks like she wants some sort of a run-off out of turn 4. And David makes the move initially. But Emily with the bank. She's trying to come around the outside of David. David drops down in the lane. Emily drops in behind him with a run at his back wheel. Gives herself a bit of room to run at his back wheel with a little bit of a break. Now she's got to run into the slipstream. She's got a lot of speed up the back straight, but can David hold her off? And you can see Emily shutting down that gap as they come into turn 3. Has she got enough gas to get around? That's going to be a very interesting race, this one indeed, as David makes a move down the front straight, but Emily with a real charge at the finish. Oh, I think David by wheel. Yeah, David gets that one. Tilly was pretty happy after her previous race. Johnny Lewis had Emily pit in. She'll want to make amends for that, and Tilly will want another win. At the moment they come around through turn 2. Johnny Lewis watching Tilly very closely. Still no real pace on as they come around to get a lap and a half to go as they cross the pursuit line on the back straight. We need B grade and A grade in on the rail, please guys. You guys are going to be up in just a second. So B grade and A grade riders in on the rail. Connor, this means you. Johnny Lewis now makes a bit of a move. Tilly responds. Johnny's opened up a little bit of a gap. He's got to go into a headwind up the front straight. Tilly's chasing hard to try and shut down that gap and get at his back wheel and get some draft. John has slipped the catch a little bit, but Tilly now starting to run at his back wheel and through the back straight as they come out of turn 2. Tilly trying very hard to shut that gap down. She's got the advantage of the run at the wheel. You can see a little bit more speed, but Johnny just starting to lift it through 3 as they come around through 4. Tilly gets up onto his hip. This one's going to be another close one coming down the line, but it looks like, oh, that's very close. I can't pick it from here. Johnny Lewis enjoys his trips to France, does Dino? He's had a couple of trips over there with his family.
Ooh, underneath.
Dino drops down into the lane. David reacting. David in the blue Saxo skin suit. Dino in the blue and yellow aboc skin suit. Both riders wearing Cascos. David on the black bike. Sorry, Dino on the black bike and David on the white. Coming out now through turn 2. A lap and 3/4 the distance left to travel. Dino with height. Dropping down. Trying to hide his run. He was caught unawares in the previous round. He won't let that happen again, I'm pretty sure. So keeping Dino right up on the hip. This is where things can get interesting because the lead rider can drop down sharply off the bank and get a real runaway. So the high rider trying to wind up around the outside can sometimes be taken by surprise as that happens. They come around now, a lap to go coming off the bend. David's still holding Dino high. Dino now getting down into David's slipstream, gives himself some height to give himself a bit of distance. David comes up to cover that move. And it's on now as they drop down to the lane. Dino in the lane, David running away from him down the back straight. The Dino with the advantage of the run at the back wheel. Coming now into turn 3, Dino running hard at David's wheel, but David lifts a little bit through the corner with a bit of a second kick, but here comes Dino around the outside, coming around through turn 4. Very, very close indeed. Oh, I think Dino may have just got that one. Yep, Dino gets it one by not very much at all. But I'm sure he's quicker here now today. And Nick has drawn the lead from James. And James has come here to race with us today from Geelong, and we're hoping he's enjoying the experience. This is a fairly unique series, although I was at the National Junior Track Series last week talking to Kenneth Tucker from Queensland, and they're starting to use this format up in Queensland as well to encourage developing sprinters to actually have a go at the sport, because there is an absolute dearth of sprinting in this country for developing riders and enthusiasts and masters and so forth, and this sprint series format fills that niche as James ducks down underneath Nick Mark and again catches him napping a little bit like he did to Dino, and he's got a pretty decent jump on him. He's done well clear, but Nick on a big gear, and he's gritting his teeth trying to shut it down. That's a big gap though to catch up the back straight. James very explosive, and he's jumped well clear. And that's twice he's done that, so those of you in B grade, I hope you're watching. Look at what he's good at. And Nick concedes as James uses a very good jump indeed to the Carnegie Caulfield blue, black and white. Curry with the lead. Race is now live, very slow to start with. Curry watching over his shoulder very attentively at Yeatman. Content at this point, just to hold that status quo. Now Curry comes up to ball, just to give him less of an opportunity to take advantage of that run off the bank. It's not much of a run here, but you do notice it. Top to the bottom is about 1.5 metre height difference, and that's significant. And it can give you a good 5 or 10 metre head start if you use it well. This is a good track for this style of racing because the velodrome is banked enough to give you the ability to use it, but not banked so much as to make you apprehensive about using it. So it's a good race to learn and develop skills. A lot of riders who are now riding at senior 19 level, like first year, second year under 19s and so forth, have done a lot of development work here at this track, learning a lot of the tactical moves. As Curry makes the move from the front, Yeatman responding. Yeatman's giving himself a little bit of room to run at Curry's back wheel. Will it be enough, and can he time his run at the wheel well enough? As Curry comes around the bend and Yeatman drifts up a little bit early to try and make that pass, but again as they come around through turn 4, it's a charge side by side for the line. It's going to be pretty close, but I think Curry got that one. Yeah, Curry takes that one. The Blackburn skin suit with the white helmet. Then perhaps trying to tempt Connor into ducking underneath him and lead it out, riding high. Connor a long way off his back wheel. Then perhaps at this point trying to tempt Connor into ducking under, but Connor having nothing of it as he comes around through turn 1, turn 2. They come out of turn 2 and drop down off the bank. Ben still comfortably 10 metres. Connor just laying off him, giving himself plenty of racing distance if he wants to do something. Come now into 3, no real change in the situation. Ben hops up and starts to ramp it up a little bit, no real hard jump, but Connor makes a move now from behind, and he's hit the gas, and Ben responds to it well. Coming up the front straight with 307 metres to go. Ben leading into turn 1. Connor chasing hard at his back wheel, and this is just the sort of chase that Connor likes, but Ben jumps out of the saddle up the back straight with a bit of extra kick. Here comes Connor up to his back wheel into turn 3. Makes a bit of a step around the outside, but Connor's lost a bit of control of his bike there as he jumps up out of the saddle. And he sits up and concedes, and Ben in the end takes that one by much more than we would have expected. Connor must have given himself a little bit of a... Stephen too working very hard on his consistency, and we'll see how this race goes. David's drawn the lead. David in the Carnegie Caulfield skin suit, Stephen in the Blackburn skin suit, the white with the red and black. The two guys good friends, train together in the gym, train together at the track. At this point in time, Stephen sitting behind David, not with any advantage of any height. Content to give himself about a bike and a half length to 2 bike lengths of room to run at David's wheel if he wants it. David drops down onto the duckboards. Stephen now giving himself a little bit of height. He comes into turn 3. This one looking to be a bit of a game of chicken. Who's going to make the jump? The bell rings, but still no particular move as David aiming for a bit of cyclocross, but stays up on the track. Wouldn't be the first time it's happened. Stephen in the blind spot, well and truly trying to find an opportunity to surprise David. Stephen gives himself a little height and jumps out of the saddle. David responding as Stephen comes up to try and make a move around the outside, but David responds nicely in the lane. David with the lead into turn 3, Stephen running hard at his back wheel. David with a little bit of a lift as he comes through the bend. Both riders riding a smaller gear than they probably would normally, but a real charge for the line. Oh, I think David. Was that David or Stephen? Jared's drawn the lead. And Jesse up around the outside. Jesse in the red and white. Jared in the Blackburn skin suit, also red and white. But less red and more white. The Dolan Dare 4 against the BT Edge. The Dolan with the BT handlebars.
Hi, Jared.
Right, Jared watching Jesse very closely as they come around, just transitioning from turn 1 into turn 2.
Walking first, boys. Hi, Chris.
This could be a very intriguing race indeed. These riders have never raced against each other before. Jesse has competed at the past the Junior World, so he's a class rider. He was also competing not long ago at Adelaide at the Sprint Grand Prix. He trains with Zianing, one of the elite Malaysian track sprinters who trains in with John Beasley's squad, who trains in here at Melbourne. Jared trains with some bunch of goons called aboc. Jared giving Jesse no room at all to move coming into turn 3. Pressing right up hard on the hip. I think Jared wants a short race, judging by the way he's keeping Jesse pinned. Pace just starting to lift imperceptibly now as they come around the bend. Jesse again just trying to force the pace up a little higher. Will we see a drop out of this bend, or will we see a hook and drop coming into 1, I'm sorry. We'll see what happens here as they come around. Lap to go. 307 metres, Jesse makes the first move, but Jared immediately responds. Jesse trying to move around the outside, but Jared's kicked down into the lane and owning it. Jesse's got to make a passing move around the outside as Jared, at this point in time, out of the saddle, accelerating hard down the back straight. Jesse's stuck on his wheel. Jesse now tries to make a move around the outside, but gives himself perhaps a little bit too much distance to that point. They're coming around the finishing line. Very, very, very close indeed. But, oh, I don't know who got that one.
Oh, we just took it as an own. We owned it.
Very, very close. So speed.